get this, like, overall, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I hate this book. No offense.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to follow the characters. They kind of blend into one another. We're getting a lot of information, but like with no if you don't have any understanding of like the basic applied principles of physics and what they're trying to say, I just feel like it's just not hitting the way it should. Like I remember when you picked up the book, you said, "Oh, like I've heard of like the three body problem, so I've understood, like, you have some understanding of it." Like I never
Hmm.
did. So for me, it's just like, okay, what the fuck is happening? Like I don't really know. Like I'm just trying to piece it together, and it's just not easy for me. So I feel very uneducated and stupid.
Fair enough.
I also feel a little bit confused because this was a book written. It's a Chinese book translated for the U.S. And
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of information about the Chinese Revolution or like the Republic of all of that. So like hearing all of that and like just passing over it so quickly was just kind of weird. And I feel like maybe if I just feel like I don't have enough backstory or like knowledge for me to truly appreciate what's happening. So that's how I really feel. Like I think it's interesting. I feel like it'd be more interesting if one, I liked the subject matter a little bit more, or two, if I had a little bit of like existing knowledge about what's happening so that I can understand it and kind of enjoy it a little bit more.
I
But
think
that's all I
that's
have to say.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I- I'll go next because I can relate to Julia. Um, I also feel like I'm not intelligent enough for this book.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, but we read The Martian and Project Hail Mary, and that author never made us feel stupid. Like, he always went out of his way to explain it in a way that even a layperson such as myself could understand it. I don't get that sense from this book. I don't
Mhm.
trying to explain it to us. I feel like he's writing to an audience who already knows these sort of things, and I
Yeah.
respect, like, if you're not interested in that or don't have some knowledge in that, I could see how this book would like go over your head. But certain aspects of it I found really interesting, like the part where he said physics does not exist, and like what if we are living in a pocket where like right now everything is just working out right, and that's why we have all these physics principles. But what if like some point in time we're going to descend into chaos, and like if I drop something I know it's going to fall because of gravity. What if it doesn't exist? So that was really interesting to me, and that really made me think, and my mind was like boggle, like, oh, it really tickled my mind. That part was so good. I was like, okay, yeah, I get why these physicists are now committing suicide. Like, they spend all their lives devoting themselves trying to study these principles and to find out that physics does not exist. Like, what? Yeah, that was fascinating. It was like finding out God doesn't exist. Like, it could go up to that extent. But that was fascinating. Certain principles I liked. I feel like if he had devoted more time into like explaining certain things, it would have been more interesting for someone like me. But for someone who's like totally into this, I could see them being like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. I also feel like maybe it kind of got lost in translation because it is a translated book. So maybe that could be a reason why. Um, the Chinese Revolution part was sad, but then again, like, it is happening. So I don't know. Yeah, that was sad, but also the middle part of the book, or rather just the second part, got very technical, and a lot of those parts went over my head too. But I liked the game, but now we're finding out that, oh, it's more than a game. So I feel like the story is opening up now. But yeah, I also feel like I'm not intelligent enough for this. So I maybe grasped 70% of it, and the rest of it, I'm like, I'm not going to try to understand it. It's like
Yeah.
good enough understanding and I'm gonna go with it. But more than that, I feel like my brain might explode. So yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel. And like you said, I found the game interesting, and then
Mhm.
like now we're finding out it's like not really a game. That's still interesting, but it's just not my cup of tea. Not to say I don't enjoy it, but it's just not my thing. You know what I mean? And that's okay. But that's yeah, like it's interesting. Like don't get me wrong. I had a break. Um, but like Manila said, like 70% of it. And then like you said, like I don't wanna exert the other what is it? I can't even do math. That's how bad I do at physics. 7, 8, 9, 10, 30% to fucking like figured out either, because it's just way over my head. I'm just like, okay, like I get the basic principle of it, and like it is super interesting to think that there are scientists out there, and there are people out there who basically have established the law of physics and everything, the way that it happens, and I appreciate that, but it's not something I want to think about too hard. You know what I mean? Like, to be completely honest with you, when we were reading fucking Belladonna and we were talking about reincarnation, I had a whole panic attack on my drive to work, thinking about reincarnation and what happens when you're dead, and like, is this my life? What, like, how much life do I have left? Like, am I, anyways? So it's the same with physics. I don't like to think about it a little bit too much, because then I panic. So yeah. Other
Hmm.
than that, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it is lost in translation. I just feel like you had to have a good understanding to really appreciate. I cannot rate this book because I am not the audience for this book. This is like a no rating for me, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
'Cause I don't feel like I'm a good judge of character for this book.
Interesting. I
Anyways.
kind of figured you guys were gonna feel like that about the science part of this book because it is very intense and he doesn't explain it at all.
Mhm.
I've been questioning as I've been reading it, like I really, really appreciate and respect how good Andy Weir is at doing
Mhm.
what he does, especially
Yeah.
after reading something like this.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm thinking about it and like I'm not sure if it's something you can really like fault this book for.
No.
Do
No.
you have to
Yeah.
explain these things? I guess kind of like not, but at the same time, putting up such a high barrier to entry I think is kind of like a shame at the very least because what I can tell you is that all of the technical jargon didn't just like it doesn't just immediately like make this book any better for me. It's all kind of like there and it makes sense for like why they're getting like it makes sense from like a plot perspective, but it's
Mhm.
not like at least for me because I do understand maybe like 98% of the things that they're saying at least like at like a fundamental level to where I can follow along pretty well, but those scientific things aren't
But, oh,
like they're not like
sorry guys.
exciting. They're not like it's kind of like with Andy Weir like all the sciency stuff was exciting in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like it was the cool part.
Yeah.
With this it's just sort of like the nuts and bolts for like the other thing that's happening because the main thing that's interesting about this book is the game itself and the way that
Mhm.
that's evolving and where it's going now. And I think also like when he drops like some like existential things about like physics and the universe and how it works and like I'm not so sure if you need to learn or know all of those things to even grasp the parts that are cool. It's just
Mhm.
that all the physics stuff like it's there but even as I'm reading it and I do understand it more I'm not like stoked about it like I am on the Martian, but at the
Mhm.
same time the stuff that is interesting I think is pretty interesting. I will say that like for me um going through it and especially I think with like the lost in translation part because I kind of like agree um going through it I was very very like lost from like not like from like the sciency part but just sort of like the plot. Like I was thinking like what in the hell is going on, where is this heading, like what like you know what I'm saying, and like
Mhm.
and it's like he put all these puzzle pieces like and just like scattered them on the floor and I really just didn't get it. But then when they had the cafe meet and they kind of like explained what's going on with the book and what, and it's kind of like this like recruiting system and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, all of those puzzle pieces actually do make sense now. And I don't think that was like one of the best like aha moments that I've ever had in a book, but like I don't know how exciting it was more just sort of like it was it was more like as scattered as the pieces were in my mind I didn't think there was any way to make them come together. And then when he mentioned that that's what was going on and this is a real place and that it's describing some other civilization, I was like, oh
Mhm.
shit, that's like not what I thought that this was about at all. And as soon as they
Yeah.
said that I was like, I definitely at the very least want to keep reading now because
Yeah.
that's very very interesting because that's just I just didn't get it before and maybe that's the point, like I just didn't freaking get it. And knowing extra science stuff it didn't help be
Mhm.
like the three body game was just as batshit crazy for me as it was for you guys despite the fact that like I knew the terms more because still as you're going through it you're like why the fuck is Einstein here? Why are
Yeah,
what
Newton,
is
like,
going
what the
on?
fuck is going on?
Yeah, yeah, like just it
I was like, "Is
wasn't
this
like
real? Is this fake? What
right,
are like, what?"
right. And that's it's and that's kind of why I say that it's sort of a shame that he's using all of those things as like a barrier to entry is almost because they're not necessarily like adding anything. The game is what's interesting. It's kind of like in like Ready Player One, like you don't necessarily have to like know the intricacies and technicality of VR. It's just the fact that like there is this alternate reality and that's cool enough to like get you into it. That's
Yeah.
kind of how this is, but I think all of his physics jargon is almost just sort of like it's almost like he's like showing off or something. Like he doesn't even need to go that hard
Yeah.
because if it was way less technical, I think the same thing could be accomplished, except it just wouldn't have as much of a barrier to entry because the physics itself is not really exciting to me like it was on the other ones.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
With Andy Weir's books, it felt like I was in a fun science class where
Mm,
right.
the
yeah,
With like a
creative
teacher that like does really good demos that makes you go like, what? Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
Constant.
yeah,
Where
It's
it's
like a
yeah.
very old, senile professor like trying to write equations on the board. And I'm like, what?
yeah, and like you recognize this dude knows what he's talking about, but
Sure,
I don't.
yeah.
This is like one of those like 101 classes you take in college where you find out like this is not your shit and you're gonna fail it.
It's like bringing you trauma. Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, a
man.
little bit. I was scared. I was like, I don't have anything to say. I was like, I'm gonna come to this book club empty fucking handed. I was like, my
To
little
my
dunce hat with my face in the corner, like I don't know the shame. I don't know physics.
Yeah, I can
But
I
yeah,
can I can assure you that you're like you're weirdly not really missing out on much not knowing all of the stuff. It's really just about the fact that there's this weird ass clandestine radio tower that I'm assuming received the data for this game back in the 70s. I think that that's kind of where they're going with it, and that this game is somehow like like it's the aliens letting us know like, hey bitches, we're coming. Like I think that's like the point here, and you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
really you don't really need to know all the physics jargon to get that, but that thing is that's the whole plot. And I've never heard of a story like that. I mean, I've
yeah,
seen so many alien movies, I've read a good amount of alien books. I've never heard of aliens like, hey, we're on our way, check this out. Like what a weird
yeah.
concept. um yeah.
And just to be clear, so on their planet, the laws of physics are different, right? And the
I guess
there
so.
are,
I don't know if we know that for sure, but they've alluded to that. Or
yeah,
maybe it's
that's
just the fact that like or maybe it's just the fact that like I'm pretty sure that at the very least with all of these suns like hurtling past your planet and
mhm,
whatnot, like your gravity numbers would fluctuate constantly. And if that fluctuates constantly, then like all of your equations for like flight and driving and everything would they just it's chaos.
yeah,
So
which is the three
yeah, so
body.
so even if it's like the same physics base rules of like, this much mass causes this much gravity, like even that, just the fact that it's so chaotic would make it so that like nothing ever makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it's either that like the physics literally doesn't exist there, or it does but it has no consistency. Because the only
yeah,
reason we can study things here is because we have consistency. It's
yeah,
not yeah, if every day we woke up and gravity was different, then like no physics could exist really,
yeah.
which
But
is a
that's
crazy
such a
concept. It is a very
that,
very cool crazy concept, I know. And to
yeah,
introduce it in this like weird ass game that's just like the whole time I'm thinking like, what the hell is the point of this? And then all
mhm,
of a sudden you realize that there's a place out there that's like this, and you're like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. That
oh,
I enjoyed that part of it. But
agreed.
like plot wise, like very little is happening plot wise,
Right.
but all
yeah,
did come together. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. Like
I
he's like,
Yeah, I
oh,
agree. Because
yeah,
prior to that coming together, and I really want to praise this guy for that coming together, because it felt so random before, and I was thinking like, this is like, there's no way, like this book is the three body problem. It's just chaos, and there's no way it's coming together. And then man, I was like, oh, hmm, but yeah, the plot wise, character wise, I feel like character wise, like it's always kind of like sketch on books that have been translated, at least to me. But this one in particular, like I just don't. I'm not sure if I like get a lot of character. I don't know.
I
Uh,
don't.
It's pretty much non-existent. Like there's no character arc. It's not character driven.
right.
It's not plot driven.
No.
Science driven. So that's
Yeah.
what we're
I want less science, more aliens.
I
going.
wonder, like I keep wondering, you know that detective sergeant guy that's got like the I don't know, he's got the kind of funny voice and he smokes a lot and he like
Oh yeah,
uh
Gundam,
I keep
Gundam,
yeah,
Golem.
whatever his name is. I keep wondering like if he's like in on it, or if he's like if he was like pushing him towards this, or if uh yeah, I don't really know. I also I also think it would be satisfying if that guy, because they've established that like while he's completely unscientific, he just has a very good sense of just piecing puzzles together. Like he's just a good detective. I think it would be satisfying if like he helps like solve whatever this is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a layperson that's just really good at seeing patterns goes like, oh, this is it. You know what I mean? And a bunch of smart
Yeah,
people in the room couldn't have seen it. That would have been that could be kind of cool. I don't know. I think it still could be like interesting in the end, but like man, I think like the first like 50 or first good chunk of it, I was just like, man, what is going on right now? This is like such a random such a random sequence of
I
events.
also, to be completely honest, do not know if I can do 3 books of this.
That's
I don't
fair.
know.
We don't have to. We can decide at the end.
Yeah, I want
Yeah.
to see how it
Right.
ends.
How it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we have to. Yeah, no, it's okay.
Sorry, guys. I'm the stupid one. I'm the stupid friendless one. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no. Yeah, I want to see like I said, less science, more aliens. I'm here for it. But this science shit, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it feels, because even for me as I'm listening to it, it feels like more of like an obstacle than really like
Yeah.
supporting the plot to in the first place, I think. Oh, the last thing I had to say was with regarding the Chinese, all the Chinese history stuff. This book, as often as I'm able to, like if I'm reading it in a sense where like I can like easily pause and like do some. I've been researching and looking up like all this stuff, and I find it really really fascinating, because it's weird, because like the history of China is just a complete black hole to an American. I don't know how you are, Manel, like having grown up where you did, but like we don't learn jack about China
Ever.
here at
None of
all.
this.
Nothing.
None.
And so like the fact that this culture revolution even happened, I'm like, this is so weird. Like this is like so,
Yes.
it's crazy that this actually happened and they were actually distrustful
Insane.
of like scientists. It's super interesting. Like I've been kind of loving like looking stuff up as he just casually throws something out, and I think it's valid that he's throwing casually doing it, because he is a Chinese person himself. So to him, this is called common knowledge. But
Mhm.
all of the historical stuff is like mind blowing to me. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I
I
was
don't
like,
get
wait,
this at all.
what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
It's sad how many like great minds they have lost because of their narrative that
Yeah.
they're fit into.
Right,
So
right. Totally crazy. I know.
Mhm. Well,
Alrighty. Well,
I think
I
that's
think
it. I don't have much else to
right.
say. I just
I feel like the
but
story like literally just started. Like it just got
yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
like 2 chapters
Yeah, I
ago. So
did.
like I think like I think we'll probably all, including Julia, will probably have more to say at the end of the book. Cuz yeah, it was
Yeah.
just sort of random and chaotic up until then.
It was. It barely got good in chapter 19. I was like, okay. But it was a slow start for me. I was like, I was like, I could do this. I'm open minded. You can read. You can't call yourself
Now
a reader if you
now
can't get through this.
one thing they haven't actually like, I don't think we know now, even with the new revelations, is like how and why exactly were like his number visions happening before he had even played the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. I still really want to know what the hell was going on with that, because like that was weird, especially it like showing up on photographs and stuff. Like he was like it was like he made like I appreciate this about this very science driven guy. Like he made it so that those weird things that were happening to them, there's actual evidence of it. Like it's in it, like it was empirically happening, and so therefore some kind of weird shit was going on, but we haven't explained it yet. So I'm kind of interested in
Yeah,
seeing what goes on with that.
aliens.
Aliens with space magic, and there you go.
Alien.
That's it.
Yeah.
Um,
Alrighty, y'all. Well,
Okay.
happy
Happy
reading.
happy reading.
Bye.